When I first started homeschooling almost 20 years ago, I thought that I should just buy whatever curriculum sounded interesting and good. And frankly, I love curriculum. I love new books. I love going to homeschool conventions. I love arts and crafts. I love it all. I like online classes. I love all the fun things. But when I first started homeschooling, I had no idea how you should go about picking and planning and choosing what you should buy every year. Like, I was starting with a blank slate. And now, almost 20 years later, I have a very clear system. It actually doesn't take me very long to choose what to use every year for each kid while homeschooling because I have a simple method. So I thought I would teach that today, explain my method for how I go about choosing homeschool curriculum. Now, the first thing I start with when I think about buying curriculum is I look at our schedule. I start with my planner. And before I get to the calendars, I start with my planner and I'm like, what is my kid already doing that's like an extra thing, right? Maybe they're doing sports. One year I had a kid doing science Olympiad, music lessons. What are these things that are already part of our life that my kid does? And I will write it down. I don't write it all down in my planner. I'm a paper and pencil kind of girl. So before I ever use a digital tool, I'm going to start with my notepad and I'm going to write down exactly what I know my kids are already doing. So in my case, I know that I have one who will be doing a drama class next year. I'm thinking about having grandma do piano lessons with my daughter. I'm going to think about things we are already doing. Okay. I'm going to write those down. Now, this year we did homeschool YMCA gym classes. So I've already got that figured out. So, and we loved it. And we did it with my sister's kids. And so we're going to do that again. So I'm going to jot down the things I already know we're doing. These are things I don't need to think about. I'm not looking to solve this problem. All right. What's already working, essentially? Write down what's working. Next, I go and I think about any homeschool programs that we are going to participate in this year. And for my kids, that is a homeschool co op on Fridays and a science micro school on Tuesdays. But it's not just science. So at the science program, they're going to do science, geography, and art. And at our homeschool co op, they will do language arts and history. So, what does that do for me? Well, the science program specifies which curriculum they are using. All right. Now, I love curriculum. I have preferences about what curriculum I might use. But if I put my child in this micro school that I'm paying for, I am going to use the curriculum that they are using, right? I'm not going to do two. Same thing with the homeschool co op. We participate in an academic homeschool co op. So if they say we're using master books, that's what we're using. We're using master books. Or if they're using IEW for writing, that's what we're using. Okay. So I will write down again what we are using based on the programs that we're participating in. So in my case, that knocks a lot off the list because we're doing language arts and history and science and geography and art in other programs. And total side note, this is one of the big reasons I actually participate in co-ops and have done it for almost all of the 20 years is the accountability, right? Like we get our work done because it's part of participating in the group. So that's just part of my wiring. Not everybody needs that. All right. So after we think about the groups we're going to participate in, we are going to go ahead and look at the other subjects that we have left that are required, like essential core subjects.
Now, in our case, the essential core subjects that are left after we cover what's already working and what we're doing at our homeschool, co op, and micro school, what's left in our case is math and more language arts. Because inevitably, the co op class that only meets once a week can't cover everything. So we usually end up adding something extra to make sure that we're covering the core skills that I want covered that year. So I will choose a math curriculum, usually two, for both of my kids. And I'll talk about this in another video, but the reason I choose to is for whatever reason, maybe it's me, maybe it's them. They get bored. Maybe they start the year and they love this one and they're like motivated. And partway through the year, maybe they started on the computer. Now they want paper and pencil, or maybe they started on paper and pencil and partway through the year, they need some computer. I don't know. So I've just kind of made my peace with using two. And then language arts, I will often, like I said, supplement. And then and only then, after I've chosen the curriculum for each of those things in that order, will I go to enrichment type classes. When I talk about enrichment, these are the extra things. I ask myself, like, what are the extra things my kids want to explore? My son loves drama. So every year at our homeschool co-op, he participates in the drama class. He loves drama more than just a few months out of the year. So I'm always looking for ways to encourage that in him. And my daughter, she would love to take piano. So I'm thinking about that for her in the fall. Both of my kids have enjoyed swimming lessons in the past at the YMCA. So we might keep that going. And they love doing things with their cousins. So for me, when I'm thinking about the extracurricular or enrichment activities, I start looking at their interests, who they want to spend time with, and whether it will fit in our schedule without burning me out, honestly. Oftentimes, our enrichment activities do not take a full year, like almost across the board. I will say that so, for example, for gym class or for swimming, we're going to probably look at the YMCA, and those classes last 8 weeks. Now, 6 or 8 weeks. So, we might do swimming for just 6 or 8 weeks and then be done with it for a while. Gym class last year, we loved it. So, we did it most of the fall, most of the winter and spring. And it was great. The kids never got tired of it. I didn't get tired of it. It was good. So we often look at what they're interested in and kind of try to plug something in. Besides the YMCA, our favorite places to look for enrichment activities, if I can't find it in real life with people I know, are going to be Outschool for some fun, engaging classes online, or recess.gg. They also have some really great classes, live instruction. I'm kind of over anything without live instruction. And they make friends on there, they get immediate feedback, they enjoy it. So those are the two places that I tend to look for online classes. And like I said, we don't usually take the enrichment classes year round. Now, if my daughter learns to play the piano, maybe she'll do that with grandma and maybe that will be a year round thing. But my older kids that are in high school have a lot of sports in the fall. So I don't want a lot of enrichment activities then. My son will be a senior, a varsity football player, all the football things. I don't have time to do that and have my other kids heavily involved in a lot of homeschool activities. Same with my other son. He does cross country, lots of things on Friday and Saturday, and it's just easy to get burned out. So we don't do any sports though in the winter. And so that's a good time for my homeschooled kids to do some extracurriculars, do things with cousins, friends, and it doesn't burn me out because I'm not doing everything all at once. So that is how I think about planning our homeschool year. Not our homeschool year, our curriculum. I start with those filters. What's already working? What programs are we participating that require certain curriculum? What other required subjects do I need to cover? And then what enrichment activities do I want for each of my kids? I just go through that list, write those down, and that's going to become the guide, the map for me to plan our homeschool year. And usually, because we rely on uh, some things that the co op and the micro school are doing, I'm not actually choosing that many different curriculum for my kids. Right. I've already got most of that, probably like 70% of what we need to cover is pre-selected. Okay, so here's my biggest question when I am thinking about planning my homeschool year. Does this plan, this choice of curriculum and classes, does this give my kids what they need? And does it give me what I need? Right? Because I've had years where I just like, I love curriculum and I love classes and that's so great. And I load up the schedule and then or we start dropping things left and right, right? We're not showing up when we said we were showing up or when we paid because I actually loaded it up too much. The schedule, the plan has to work for my kids and it has to work for me. That's always the plan. It has to work for both of us, and honestly, it has to work for the whole family. I am constantly trying to balance a quality education, independent learning for them, flexibility, right? Not get so locked in that every day is tied down, and then my own bandwidth. I know myself. I can go, 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 but then I crash and burn. So I have to build in some downtime so that I actually can like crash without taking out the whole schedule. I've found that in-person learning works really well for my kids. So we prioritize that. And whether that's in person, or online in person, we prioritize that over most of the other learning. It's where they're learning well. Whatever is working for them is what we're going to do more of, as long as it's working for me too. I found that there are some seasons where they really want to do something really. Like my daughter wanted to play soccer this fall, and I'm like, I just can't. My husband said, please don't put her in that. We already have high school kids that are doing two big sports, and it's just too much. And so, yeah, I did listen to him. I didn't sign her up for soccer this fall, but maybe in the future. So there has to be flexibility. It has to work for them, but it also has to work for me and my husband too. The biggest lesson I've learned after 20 years is you do not need every amazing curriculum. If I flip this camera around, you would see my shelf of amazing curriculum. And you don't need it all right now. You've got all these years to try different things. Right now, this year, you need a plan that fits your child, your schedule, your budget, and your bandwidth. Curriculum is a tool, it's not the goal. And when you build your year around what you actually need and what's exciting and fulfilling, homeschooling gets a whole lot simpler. And let's face it, there are future years to try out new things. We don't have to try it all out right now this year. So happy planning. If you have strategies that work well for your family, let me know. My next video is going to be about what we're using this year in third grade, and then another one about what we're using for sixth grade here in 2026. And then I'm going to share another video about what my favorite picks are from all 20 years. That's kind of the easy button of homeschooling. So if you have thoughts on homeschool planning, though, I'd love to hear them. Please like and subscribe. And thank you for joining me today.